is as a filter product manager, and we're going to talk about basically elements today. But I guess maybe before we get started, we are going to launch one of those polls that Sean talked about. And I always kind of start my presentations this way. How many people really are aware of Behringer? So we'll give you a minute or two, Sean, huh?
Yep, the poll's up here, and if everyone could just kind of select the best answer of your familiarity with Behringer and our products, maybe. So I'll just give it a couple seconds for everyone to finish voting, and we'll kind of share the results with you there. So it looks like most of you are somewhat familiar with our products, which is good. That means that you will probably learn something from this training. Those who are not familiar will definitely learn something from this training. And the very familiar people, it's a good refresher course for them to kind of go over the products and things again. So it looks like we have a good mix of people.
Yeah, it's good to know because a lot of people think of Behringer because we really got started out in making the pipe and tube clamps for the hydraulic system. And for about the last 14 years now, we've added other products to our mix that we are manufacturing and offering. So what products are you most familiar with? I know I mentioned the clamps. That's kind of what we manufacture here just in Branchville, but we'll launch that other poll. This one, I take a minute.
Yep, and while you're voting, it looks like there's maybe another question. Brad, did you have a question?
Yeah, could he speak up just a little bit?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is it mine?
Yes, sir.
Is that better?
A little better, yes, sir.
Okay, good. All set, Sean?
So we'll see the results of that. And it looks like the majority of the people here then are familiar with our industrial pipe clamps, and that's kind of our probably our bread and butter line. But it looks like almost half of the people here are also available with our filtration products. So that's good, and it looks like there's a lot of people that will be learning some stuff from that.
So I think we just want to get an idea. I would assume most of the people here are part of our distribution network. That's the last poll.
Last poll before we get started.
Shouldn't have three in the beginning.
All right, and well, we won't even show the results. That was 100% distributor or reseller. So.
Okay. All right, so we're ready to get started. We're going to touch base on 5 different or so product groups. Behringer basically got started out in the filtration market making hydraulic cartridges, and we did that for well, we're still doing it today, but for the first 2 years, that's basically all we kind of manufactured. But then as we were going out and visiting customers with our distribution base, we found out that in storerooms there's a whole host of other products very similar to the nature in which we make our hydraulic filters that are there, such as compressors, which are in a lot of plants, or dust collection or bag houses, as they call them, and then even pneumatic products, which would be in the compressed air portion of a plant. And all these products basically are cylindrical in nature, so it's basically a cartridge, which was very easy for us to adapt and begin to manufacture and offer. And as a result of that, we now have at least 100,000 interchanges on our website and in our database. And it's probably more than that because we do have a large catalog library that we can get information on for manufacturing. These will be the different we're going to be discussing here today. And I think what we're going to start out with is the hydraulic portion of it. For those of you that it looks as though a lot of people were pretty familiar with hydraulics. The morning session there wasn't, but this kind of gives you a brief schematic of where filters on a hydraulic system are located. And you can have as many as one, or as little as one, and as many as 4 or 5. But usually you'll have a suction prior to a pump, a pressure filter after a pump, and then after any working component, you're going to have a return line filter for anything that goes back into the reservoir. And then also, a lot of times it's always missed, looked after pretty properly, are these air intake, or I should say the air filters. And then also there's offline filtration products, which are usually either a standalone system, or it could even be a cart that goes from unit to unit and filters the oil in the reservoir continuously.
Bob.
Yeah.
Excuse me for just 1 second. Your phone is cutting in and out on us, and I don't know if it's your receiver or something there on your end.
Is that better? No?
Yeah, it's every time it kind of cuts in and out, and it's hard for us to hear.
Okay. I'll change the channel on it. Not any better?
That's good. We'll continue, and then we'll see.
Okay. Is that better?
No.
No? Anything better now?
Yeah, just speak up.
Okay. This kind of gives you an idea of just a picture of what filters would look like. As you can see here, this would be a pressure filter. We'll go back. And this would be, let's go back one more time. These are pictures basically of just certain hydraulic systems. You can see these are pressure filters, usually with the bowl facing downward. This is a kind of a return line filter where you can remove the element from the top. You can see here where I have this that's a breather filter. And so there's a lot of different areas on a power unit like we had shown you in the schematic before. This is a press. This is actually our shear in our plant. Kind of gives you an idea of a big unit. This is the filter, the return line filter, that's right on it. And then this little item here, which is usually unchanged and usually undersized for the application, is a little an air breather. So it kind of gives you an idea on a system. Wherever you see a lot of hose running around, you're probably going to see a filter close by. But within that sketch that I showed you, there's a lot of areas within the system that causes the contamination or the particulates to get in. And this is why we need filters. And usually within the system, usually from valves or the pumps, there's wear particles that are generated within the system. When a cylinder will either extend or retract, you're bringing in from the air a lot of any kind of particulate that is right around it, and it could be ingested into the system. Usually when a power unit or a reservoir is built, there's going to be slag left over. But usually just new oil coming right in is usually very dirty and not to the cleanliness level. So filtration will get you down to the areas that are needed, to the filtration level that's needed for the components to work properly. These are the specific markets. It's probably not nothing new to anybody that's listening right now. We typically are found in what we call the traditional heavy industry, which would be steel and foundries, the press and stamping locations, as well as maybe pulp and paper mills or power generation. But there's a number of hydraulic filters that you'll find on mobile equipment, which would be like cement trucks or garbage trucks or backhoes or excavators. Within the machining operations, a lot of machine tool, die casting, injection molding processes. And even in the food area, you've got a lot of conveyors, a lot of packaging machines. So hydraulics kind of can be in almost every industry that's out there. Just quick contamination basics. We're going to have a presentation in several months, which is going to be an advanced course in filtration. We'll go over a lot more things, but I just wanted to give you an idea that when we're talking about filtration in hydraulics, we're trying to remove particles that are less than 40 micron, which is lower than what you can visibly see with a human eye. The unit of measure of a particle is a micron rating, which is 1 micrometer is 0.000039 inches, so it's very small. And the surfaces between a lot of the working components don't have a tolerance for anything that's above like 10 microns. So what we're getting out are very, very small particles. As I indicated before, new oil New oil is usually a source of contamination. This is oil, and each line of demarcation is 20 microns. So even in new oil, we have particles that are between 60 to 80 micron in length and diameter, and that's what can cause some problems in the system. So those are the things that the filters that we manufacture kind of get out. The filters in the hydraulic portion of things is a depth-type media, usually multi-layers. The particles have what they call a tortuous path to get through, to maybe go past the filter, and usually the fibers are very small that if they do get past one portion of it, they'll get lodged in another area where it's just the particles are too big to get through. Elements are usually cylindrical in shape, as you see here, and a filter element is basically consists of basically three parts. It'll consist of a cap, which you see right here, the media, which is the main portion of it right in the middle here, and then a support tube. Those are the three main areas. What you have to do is you got to pleat the material up, and you got to assemble it. And a mesh pack, as you see here, consists of multiple layers, but a better view kind of gives you that you're going to have two layers, as you see on the outer portion, are basically what we call the epoxy-coated screens. Should be here and here. And then inside you can have different combinations. You can have two thick layers of media. This is basically one thick layer of media, and then a smaller portion, which is actually a fiberglass layer. And then we have a downstream, what we call like a rime or another type of material, a polyester that will just act as support. So it's mainly a multi-layered mesh pack when you're dealing with hydraulic products. To give you an idea of who else is out there in the marketplace, we consider Hydac and Paul, Parker, and Vickers to be kind of the top four manufacturers of filters within the United States. MP Filtery and Argo and Internorman, these are some European manufacturers that have come over here on equipment. And also we have people like Teisei Kogo, if you've maybe ever seen any kind of Japanese equipment that comes over. We manufacture elements for those products too. So before we just continue a little bit, just a quick poll question. Have you had a need for any kind of hydraulic filters in the past or in the future? Getting some responses there, Sean? Hello?
Yeah, we'll give it another second or so, and then we'll show the results here. So it looks like 94% of people have heard of these manufacturers or have had a use for filters from these manufacturers. So that these are the common ones. These are the ones that everybody's seeing.
Okay, good. It's important to kind of understand how we make these, and this just gives you an idea of how the multiple layers of media are come together. You basically start out with rolls of media, and what they do is we put them on a rack, as you can see here, with the different layers, color-coded for the different microns, so we know what the micron we're actually putting on there. And then it actually goes through this pusher bar pleater, which is essentially the media comes together, and then I got another highlighter. It's actually folded with a knife edge, which is about right here, and it kind of just folds it in and out, and then on the back end, as you can see maybe right here, is where the media comes out. And it comes out in sheets of basically 39 inches in length, and then as you can see in the back here, there's storage of media here. Then it's cut to size, and we've done that here on this workbench to those pleat packs that I kind of showed you before. When the media is pleated and completed, then you have to basically assemble it. And The old way, when I first got into filtration, which was 25 years ago, we used to use an oven. But now, as two-component epoxies have become more and more prevalent, it's just like using a grill and doing some fast food work, where you can just take the end cap with the epoxy filled in it, as you see here, and cure it for only a few minutes, turn it around, and then you can do the opposite side. You do need some ovens sometimes, or you can use a longer time frame around the seam, which would be here. That would have to be done either in an oven or just with a complete two-component epoxy that doesn't need any curing at all. So that's kind of how you would manufacture the filters. And you can take your other segment, which is your end caps, can come in big tubes, and you can cut them down to size. And end caps, which are either stamped or machined. This is a CNC machine where you can actually machine from a solid bar some of the caps that would be needed. What we do when we get some requests for things that we don't have, we ask, or our engineering department actually just starts out with a dimensional worksheet. And the key features that you need to know, or key parts of information, would be length, of course, but actually the actual OD is important of the cap, and then the actual ID of the cap. With those three pieces of information, we can get an idea if we've got anything available. And then we would actually refine the search then by knowing, do we need to have one open end, one end closed, as you would see here? Do you need it to have an O-ring? Do you need it to have a gasket on the outside? Is it a higher collapse media? So on and so forth. We would ask questions. But with the three information of ID, OD, and length, we can kind of narrow it down with our search and tell you if we do have something available and what the tentative cost may be. Just recently, like out in western Pennsylvania and parts down south, we've worked with a number of our distributors on old strainers that were located in the basements of a lot of mills. And people like Zurn and Eaton have long lead times or even have discontinued certain things. And inside these strainer baskets are basically just wire mesh media, and because of our capabilities of welding things, we can actually take some parts and we can begin to weld, as you see here in the basket. Inside here are some of the media that would be needed. So it's just another worksheet that we use to help engineer some of our products. Just to give you an idea of our price competitiveness, we try to give you some advantage in utilizing our products from a price standpoint and not sacrifice any quality. As we said, Paul is one of the biggest, largest manufacturers here in the States. Their list price on this element, which is what we call an HF3 filter, is about $169. You can see our pricing is like, less than half there. So we can be very competitive for you. So it offers you an alternative. So with that portion of it done, is there any questions on the hydraulic filters that you may have? Just kind of a quick run through of what is kind of offered in our product line.
If you have a question, you can just click the hand icon and raise your hand, and then we can take you off of mute. If there's not any questions, we'll wait another couple seconds, and then we'll just continue on.
Everyone can hear me? It's a little better now?
Yeah, a little bit. Did we say that we do the Tazy Kogyo filter element interchanges? And the answer to that one would be yes.
Yes. This has a history. We kind of got started with Tazy Kogo with a company in Ohio there who was an automotive plant that had Nisi equipment on it. And what they were doing was they were basically going back to Japan and getting the entire assembly. So they were paying like $600 for a complete assembly, whereas it only cost them like $60 for the elements. So that's where that dimensional sheet came in handy when I went out there and did a lot of measurements. So yes, we can do that.
And one of the other questions was on that comparison slide, was our price a net price?
No, actually that was the list price.
And those were
list prices right there.
So there is a big difference. You could see, Paul has the Cadillac mentality, where their prices are, in that high range. But
Nothing else?
there was one other question. Do we also have like an inside to out flow filter elements?
Right, yeah. What you saw there on a lot of the hydraulic units are outside in. We would, if we go inside to out, we would reinforce the outer portion with a wrap of some sort, which would be like an expanded metal or maybe possibly another support tube, but a thinner gauge wall. Yeah, a lot of the Schroeder units do go inside to outside.
And also another question would be the quality difference then between Paul and ours. The price difference is so big. Is there a quality difference as well?
I think you'll see if you attend the session in several months. We have a lot of test data that we've done with independent test labs that we show our efficiencies versus Paul, our dirt capacities versus Paul. We've done a number of in-plant tests against them, and we can share a lot of that with you. So the quality is there, and just so everyone knows, there's really not a lot of secret to media. There's only several media sources within the United States. You have to kind of know what type of media you want. You have to do some testing for the pore diameters of the media, and some other permeability tests of airflow to tell you how tight it is and pressure drops you'll have. So a lot of it is then the only witchcraft involved is maybe getting the combinations together to try to give you a little bit longer life. But there really isn't a trade-off between efficiency and pressure drop. So the more efficient you get, you're going to have a higher pressure drop and a little bit longer or less life. So you have to try to work with that and come up with combinations that will give you the best of both worlds, I should say.
All right.
All finished with that?
Yeah, I think and then there was maybe another question too about what type of end connections are the filters available in, and I think the answer to that we kind of had said could be either single open end or double open end. They could have an O-ring. They could be flat end caps with a gasket. I think there's really nothing that we don't really do. Mm-hmm. If it's a cylindrical shaped hydraulic filter element or any type of liquid or oil or lube type filter element, we have the capabilities to do it. If it's one that we don't do, a lot of times it's a matter of sourcing those specific end caps or something around that in that respect. And if it's something that there's not a source for, we can also, Bob showed the CNC machine, we can machine end caps to whatever specifications we need them to be. So that allows us to make completely custom filter elements. And if you have one, you don't have a part number, and it's not an off-the-shelf thing, and it's an odd item that you found in the basement of a power plant somewhere that was put in 1945, we have the capabilities of doing that. And, because our shop is a relatively small shop, we, have the capabilities to very easily make custom-made filter elements with very small minimum run quantities.
Right. One thing you'll see as we go on, we do have other end caps that are rubber molded, so we do have the capability of doing that too. That's with our different products. But the next group of products I just want to show you are going to be what we either call the compressed air portions of a plant, which will include compressors. It'll include air intake filters. It'll include point of use, coalescing, and particulate filters. This is kind of a sketch or a schematic of a compressed air circuit where you'll have the compressors, which would be like people like Ingersoll Rand, Gardner Denver, things of that nature. And right before the compressor, you'll have some sort of an air intake type filter. So that will be 2 locations of filters in this whole compressed air system. After that, you go through some dryers and coolers, and then you'll have what you see right here are the point-of-use filters, which would be particulate as well as coalescing filters. Coalescing, taking the water out of the air. So there's, within a compressed air system within a plant, there's several areas and locations for filtration. This gives you an idea of a compressor where you would start. As you see, this is Solaire on the compressor. You will see here's a spin-on filter, and that's for some of the lubrication that's involved within the compressor itself. So that's one filter that would be available. You can't really see it, but where my dot is now is where the air intake is prior to coming into the compressor. So that's two filters right there. The air intake filters, as I mentioned before, have rubber molded end caps, polyurethane or plastisol, and they come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. As you can see, they have either foam on them, they either have cellulose material, some fiberglass material, some wire back, some not, and they usually don't have any identification. And we first got started with air intake filters as the second items that we started making after hydraulic filters. And with this is where that dimensional sheet comes in handy, because really with this you just need to know the ID, OD, and length. And we can probably make these things for you if you just send us an old sample too. That's kind of how we got started. So keep your eyes out for like air intake filters or blower filter. They're called air intake blowers, vacuum blowers, all other terms that you would want to know about. Coalescing media, which is part of the air system, basically it's not pleated. As you can see, it's a wrapped material, and it'll be multiple layers. And what the fluid will do is the air will go through. If there's water in the air, it cannot penetrate because it's impervious to the media, and it'll actually coalesce and just hold until the weight of a droplet gets too big, and then it will fall down to the bottom of the canister, and then there's usually a valve to open up and just drain the water. So that's what the coalescing filter would look like. There's multiple applications. Any pneumatic plant air, which would be a conveyor system, packaging areas, pick-and-place operations where there's not a lot of force needed, so it's a little different than a hydraulic system. So how many people have experienced or used air intake type filters or just air filters within in your work environment?
And while everyone's voting, we'll wait a few seconds, and then we'll share the results, and we'll see what the demographic looks like there. Another couple seconds, and we'll close it. All right. So, plant compressed air and pneumatic seems to be the popular one, 67%, and then 14% have seen air intake and blowers, and then there's 19% that have not had any of these applications. So, for those that have, that's an opportunity where we can help out, and for those who haven't, then it's possibly something that in the future, now that you know that we offer it, it can be something that you'll be able to offer to your customers.
Right. Okay. Good. This is a kind of a listing of just some of the manufacturers you may see out there. Of course, like Ingersoll Rand, Solaire, Gardner Denver, Atlas Copco, Kaiser is one, which is European type. Those are some of the compressor manufacturers. Your compressed air type people would be Wilkerson, Norgren, Boston making coalescers, European people like Dominic Hunter, Deltec. So some names that when you see them out on the plant, you know that these are opportunities that you can go after now. Moving on, synonymous with air is usually what we call a dust collector filter. And dust collectors are usually on the side of a building. They're inside a plant. They look similar to the air intake filters. They are usually pretty big, massive. They come in all different shapes and sizes. And they basically take any of the airborne dust within the plant and before it goes out in the atmosphere and filters it. This is a picture of a bag house. This is an inside of a building. This is this is a plasterboard. This is a drywall manufacturing operation. And essentially the filters are inside this door here, and they are on racks, which would go the width of the unit. And the flow of the fluid, as you can see, kind of comes from the, well, you can't really see it here, comes in up here, inside to the outside, and then this is where all the air kind of goes out into the plant. But what happens is after the dust or whatever contaminant is on the outside, the whole unit is actually shaken, and then down through these cones is where the dust comes and then collects into these barrels and then hauled away. So that's kind of quickly how a dust collector kind of works. They can be inside or outside a plant. If there's dust is usually flammable. These are explosion-proof booths, blow-away booths right here that you see, so that you won't have a big explosion in a plant. And this kind of gives you a better idea of a lot of different shapes and sizes for dust collectors. They fit inside, as I said, some rails that are inside here. They're usually only changed like about once a year. It's a messy job, but when they are changed, they are usually in banks of like 12 to multiples of that. So it would be 12, 24, 36, 48 for a unit. And these filters, since they are quite big, are usually pretty expensive. So it is a nice little sale for those distributors that are out there. There is a lot of media. We'll get involved in this in our advanced session. But just wanted to give you an idea. There's polyester type medias with Teflon coatings, which make it for the electrical conductivity. You have, as you see here, glass fiber material, and which is through a laminate, which is kind of like here and here, which actually makes it a little bit tighter. This is the standard cellulose media. Right here, you can see the strands of this are a lot bigger than like fiberglass, and you can see this is usually not as efficient in both the hydraulic as well as in the dust collection area, because there's the tortuous path. The path is, there's a lot of openings that are big for particles to get through. So this kind of gives you an idea of, under a microscope, what the dust material kind of looks like. These are applications, airborne dust, as I said, within a plant, but wherever you would have paint booths, sandblasting of a lot of metal parts before there any further processing done, any kind of wood cutting, flour and bakeries, cement for cement plants. So this gives you just some sort of an idea of where the units would be located. Our main competitors to this would be Donaldson Turret. They are probably number one, and the other ones would be either BAC or BHA. And AirGuard and Air Refiner are basically like just manufacturers of dust collector filters. So wherever you see those names, you know that we can probably offer an interchange for them. I don't think we're going to go into the dust collector stuff since we're running out of time, but we do have literature on our dust collectors and all of our products on our website, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and we have them in PDF form so you can print them out. So any questions on the dust collection end of things?
There were a few questions.
Sure.
Looks like Brad has a question. Brad, let me unmute you. What was your question?
Yeah, we have a lot of asphalt plants, Apex, APEC, or APEX, this dust collection stuff. Do y'all do those?
Yep.
Yep.
So
what was it for again, Brad? What was it for?
If I tell you I've got this model, or how does that work?
Yeah, usually if like
giant
the
manufacturer's
part number.
Of course.
What's that?
Giant bag houses, all the asphalt plants have them now.
Yeah. Usually if we get the manufacturer's name and part number, that's the easiest way to do it.
Okay. I've got a big road builder, and of course, according to the press, road building's fixing to pick up, and who currently supplies the OEM on those systems, and how competitive would I be if I went in there and asked for that business?
The question was, how competitive will we be, because they might go back to the OEM? Is that what it was?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think if they're going back to if they're going back to the OEM, I think we'll be very competitive.
So if I if I go in there and ask for this stuff, say Behringer can do it, or is there literature you say available on these baghouses specifically?
Yeah,
for
there's
asphalt?
literature available. We have like a four-page flyer that shows you what it looks like and some of the pictures of that media, and it has an ordering code, and depending upon the application, we could even get you specifically pressure drops through each of the media.
Yeah, well, this is I don't know, probably controls asphalt from Memphis all the way to almost Nashville. Got plants all over the whole area, and it's one of my target customers, and I was just wondering, any way you could send me some of those flyers where I could stop at them and talk to them about it?
Yep, no, we'll do that. We'll make sure we get you the dust collector flyers, and then we'll give you a follow-up call and see if we can maybe try to get the air intake. Is a lot of this for the just for the air, or is it the air intake for the diesel engines? Is it both?
No, at the bag house for the exhaust of the
bag house for the exhaust. Okay. Yeah, that would be fine because we make them both.
Okay. Then that once I don't know where he's buying this stuff, but if I've got some literature in hand, I'm not afraid to go ask him and say, look, let's look at this here.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. I think that we'll kind of do that on the questions. There was not really any other questions, I don't think. The only other questions we're asking on how our pricing compares to other manufacturers like Donaldson Torit, which we're very competitively priced against them. So
yeah, Donaldson Torit, I know that we could be very competitive for. Those would be the prime targets. And we've quoted against BHA and BAC. They're a little bit more competitive, so it's a matter of how down and dirty kind of everyone wants to get with those guys.
Okay.
All right. The last portion of products that we're going to kind of go over are the process elements, and this is probably for almost everyone in the audience. It's probably a little bit new. It's something you may not have seen before, but process elements are mainly used for water and chemicals. Could be used for some coolant, high flows of coolant, maybe in some steel mills. But the units are basically of a standard length, either 10, 20, 30, or 40 inches long, and they have some of the common dimensions. The ID is 1.06, and the OD is 2.5. And what you see here is just a brief description of the different types of media. You can see that we have a cartridge type, which is a wound cotton material, or it could be a wound polypropylene material, or a wound polypropylene material. The other ones are, because we're in New Jersey and there's a lot of resin manufacturers, you have a melt-blown polypropylene or a resin-bonded type material, and then also pleated polypropylene, as well as carbon-type filters for the odor and gas emissions, kind of gets away the smell. And as you can see, there's also some things that have little O-rings on them, and which would be, let me get my highlighter going here. You can have O-rings like this, or little knife edges like either open ends, both ends. These are the main companies that are the manufacturers for the process elements. You may have heard of Kuno, Filtration, which is now Parker, and then of course Paul. Paul is actually bigger in the process end of things. It kind of dwarfs what they do in process versus the hydraulic end of things. And the water, coolant, or chemicals, this would be kind of the market for those types of products. So if you have any customers that are filtering them, and you'll see these in the storeroom. You know, these kind of cartridges you'll see in a storeroom. We do have these PDFs. I'm not going to do that right now, and because we got a couple other things we just want to go through. So, of the dust collection and process, what do you think that you would see in your area? Just be one of the last polls that would be applicable.
And we'll do a couple seconds while everyone votes, but it's coming in looking like almost a 50-50 split here.
Okay.
We'll close that and share the results here. It looks like about 61% process filtration, so it
That's interesting.
like that might be the more positive.
Okay. All right, is there any questions on the entire presentation? I know you've sent a lot throughout, but what we're going to touch base on now are just some of the tools we have to help you interchange.
Before we move on, there's one question.
Okay.
Don, did you have a question? Well, I don't know if maybe his connection is not working, but he's okay. Here's his on the process collection. What type of gross profit margins are competitive?
Well, I guess the way to answer that is I guess you gotta kind of feel it out. If it's a storeroom that only has a few of them in there, and you've got a good relationship, and maybe you're supplying other things, and I think you can make, upwards of selling it almost at list price. If there's a lot in the storeroom, then there might be other what we call people that are involved more in that chemical industry. Then it becomes a little bit more competitive. So, but I guess as a guideline, I think probably like a 25% margin would probably be somewhere where you maybe want to start out, and because it's kind of in the middle of the road, and you can maybe make more if you get a better idea.
I think another thing too, it depends on two other key things. One would be the product itself, whether it's going to be just one of the cheap $1 filter elements are used for water in really non-critical industrial applications, or like filters you might see at Home Depot for like residential water, things like that. I mean, we can offer those real inexpensive filters, but again, they're the dime a dozen ones that everybody has that are not, so on those things, they might buy 1,000 of them at a pop, but you're only making 20%, 15% profit on something like that, and they're only a couple dollars a piece. So it's not a high profit thing. Where the profit comes in is when it's more of the high tech or the high end type process filtration, the pleated polypropylenes, the pleated membrane type filters that are ultra high efficiency at submicronic, like 0.3 micron levels. So you get real fine. So food and beverage, dairy, chemical, that type of industry is where you can be a lot more competitive and also make a lot more margin on it. And then the other thing that would determine your competitiveness is who you're quoting against. If it's somebody like Paul or Parker, they're both typically, notoriously expensive. If you're going against somebody like Kuno or one of the other, smaller, well, Kuno's not smaller, but some of the other smaller ones out there that are a little more aggressive, then, they are not, you may have to lower your margin just a little bit. But in the most part, like Bob said, you can make an average of about 25% profit margin. That's kind of a good assumption there.
Okay.
And we can help you with that too. If you say, this is who I'm going up against, where do I need to be priced, or anything like that. We can kind of help you out with that too. So.
Good. The easiest way to do this is to maybe get a list from the storeroom guy or purchasing, whoever you have a good contact with, and you can send it to us, and we can do the cross-reference for you. If you have a single unit, you can utilize that dimensional sheet, and we can help you, after we get those dimensions. But there's two things on our website and on our what we call our KFA interchanger, which would help you to get a very quick cross-reference of products. Our website, what I'm going to do here now is pause you a little bit and get my website up. Maybe you can tell them what the KFA interchange is about there, Sean.
Yep, this interchange program that we're telling you about is basically an Excel-based, formula-driven spreadsheet where you can get a list from any type of customer. If you go into a mill and you go to their storeroom and you ask for a list, then you can get a list either in Excel or you can put it into Excel. If it's already in Excel, it makes things a lot easier. And you can take that list of up to 1,000 part numbers and put that list in our spreadsheet program, and it'll take those part numbers, cross them over to the Behringer part number, and give you our list price. On all 1,000 of them, it'll do it instantaneously. Bob's going to show you that they have to be correct. If the part number is missing a dash or it has a space where it shouldn't be, the program doesn't recognize it as a good interchange. But as long as the part numbers are in there correctly, and sometimes you can just go back into it and change one thing, or if you look at it and you know that, okay, this should be a 0 instead of an O, and you can change that, and then it'll automatically do the interchange for you. So what Bob's showing here, I guess he's going to give you a little run through on how it works.
Yeah, this is just an Excel-based format, as Sean said, and you don't really need to put the OEM name in there, but if you're doing a quote, it's a good way to, you can put the name in, then the OEM number, and what will come up is the Behringer and our current list price in 2009. But here's a list I received from a mill. I'm going to put the whole thing in. And if you can put it into an Excel format, I'll just probably stop right here. And I'll copy this, and this is really all you have to do. And you can then just paste it into into this, and then you'll find out that here's basically what came above on the initial unit. So let's look at this item here. Here's an HC 8904 FKXX39. Well, there is no such thing as an XX39. There's usually a FKS. Usually, let's see if that comes up. I'm just doing this by. Yeah. So that would be the 83, the RBE 8904/39-12A. So you have to actually have everything exactly the same. And here's one from HIDAC. This one is a 0330 BH48C. At that time, there really wasn't a BH48C, so there's just basically should be a BHHC, and that should kind of come up. So if you don't have it exactly the same, it will not come up. So we know how to do this. So this would be our first go around, and then we would modify it, and then we can do the quote out, or you can get a good idea initially first by doing this.
And I just want to kind of interject too. In conjunction with using it as an interchange, you can also use it just as a price list. If you know our part number already, you type it into this, or you can have a list of just our part numbers, put them all in there, and it'll give you our list price on it.
Right.
So it's kind of an interactive price list also. And for the ones that don't come up, because the program is so literal, you can use this with our website. So for example, with those HIDAC one, if you didn't know that 4 shouldn't be in there, then what you can do is go to our website, select HIDAC as a manufacturer, enter a %, which is our wild card, and then you'll get all of the part numbers that we interchange from HIDAC. And the list will be probably a few thousand. and then you can see how they're formatted and what they should look like, and that will help you in this program to kind of correct it so that it will actually do the interchange for you and give you the price list.
Now, Sean was the inventor of that, so he knows a lot more about it than anyone else. The last thing we want to kind of go over, this will be the last thing today, is on our website, which is www.behringersystems.com. You can access everything about all of our products, but right here, if you look in the menu bar, there is a filter element interchange section, and it has a drop-down box which would allow you to, by manufacturer, you can go in specifically, or if you even just have a part number, you can go in, but I'm just going to pick Donaldson because a lot of their numbers begin with P16. It's very easy, and if you don't even know the entire part number, you can just put in the beginning of it, and then our catch-all is a % sign, and what this will do is it'll bring up the Donaldson competitor's number and then our number, then you know we have an interchange to it. What we tried to do with a lot of our cross-references is put a number BE, which is meaning Behringer element, and then the manufacturer's part number right after that, because it makes it easy to determine who we're trying to interchange. So that actually would kind of ends our presentation right now. Is there any other questions that you would have?
And before, too, also, there was one thing I just wanted to mention. We're doing these trainings. This is the first of many trainings that we're going to do. We're going to do one a month for the rest of the year. The first of every product will be a basic introduction course like we did today, and then the second one will be a more advanced course. So like our second presentation on filtration will be more about micron ratings, beta ratings, efficiencies of different types of media, more about tolerances within a hydraulic system and things like that. So it'll really dive in to the filtration products and what what they're all about and how to kind of be an expert in selecting and sizing filtration. What we're going to do is have all of our products have a basic course first. So next month we will have ball valves, and then go on from there. And then after every product group has had a basic course, then all of our product groups will have a more advanced course. On our website, from our main home page, when Bob was showing that, you may have noticed on the top right-hand corner was a yellow star that says New Online Training. And also from our menus on the left-hand side, there's a button where you can click on that's called Online Training. And you can click on that. That'll show you all of our upcoming presentations and webinars and trainings, give a little synopsis of each one, and then also provide you with links where you can click on to register for it. And you can register now. It'll automatically send you a reminder a month in advance, a week in advance, and a day in advance to let you know that that webinar is coming up. So you can click on that right off of our website, and then you can sign up for any future presentations or trainings that you may want to do. Right now I think we've got all of the basic ones listed, and then the advanced ones will come after that. Also, from that same spot, after our webinar, we're recording them. You'll be able to watch them kind of as a rerun, if you want to call it, or not a live webinar, but you'll be able to watch the video of it in the future. So feel free to click back on there at any time and watch the presentation, have other people watch it, show it to a customer or anything like that. I think that that pretty much concludes it, Bob, if you have anything else.
No, just appreciate everyone showing up, and hope everyone learned everything. If you have anything in the future, you can contact myself or Sean, or your local regional guy.
And I think, okay, so just another question came through about sanitary training. We do have one scheduled for, I'm not sure what the month is, but if you go to our website and you click on one of those links, Bob, if you click on one now, we'll be able to see it. We have upcoming...
April 9th.
April 9th is the sanitary...
Oh, wait a minute, no, I'm sorry, that's the... no.
Are you showing your screen, Bob?
No, let me, I do have the screen. You want me to go on the, where do you want me to go? Online training?
Yeah.
In the corner on the left?
Right.
It is.
So here you see all the products, a little synopsis about what the training will be about.
July 8th.
And the dates.
Yep, July 8th.
July 8th, we have the sanitary coming up. I think December also is the more advanced sanitary one. Another thing I'll mention too, in addition to these product-based trainings, we can do specific trainings for anybody who would like it. So if you want to have it for your branch or a couple of your branches, or you know, on one specific product, or two or three, or all of them, we're also doing, in addition to these product-based ones, our regional sales managers are encouraged to do at least one a month in their specific region on any product that those specific customers are looking for. So if you need sanitary training and you don't want to wait till the sanitary one, you know, feel free to set that up with either our sanitary product manager or your regional sales manager, and we can get that training out to you, and you know, we can set up something specific for you. So that's another way that we can you know, kind of custom tailor something to your needs. So I think that's pretty much it. And thank you guys very much for spending your time. And East Coast people, it's lunchtime, so we'll get you out of here right at lunchtime.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much, guys. We'll take care.